Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, everyone, and we're excited to have you join us with the BP Media and E2 Total Solutions weekly instructional video. We've got kind of a joint configuration going today. Boyd and I have both spoken together and independently on this, and we want to talk about sales funnels and specifically digital sales funnels, if you're using yours correctly or not. And I think you guys all know Boyd. You probably are familiar with me. So today we're just going to jump right in, and there's a lot of information to cover. But Boyd, say hello and then take it away.
Hello. All
Mhm.
right. I'm going to take it away from here. So we're going to be talking about building your digital sales funnel today. And so we're going to, Jim and I did these classes as 1 hour each, and we're going to combine them into 1 hour so that you get a really good feel for what a sales funnel can do for you, and then how to build it as well. So first thing I wanted to tell you about is there are 3 things that have been game changers over the last decade. The first one is search engines. They have, especially Google has taken it over. Before we had Google, we had 4 or 5 that were always fighting for that big spot. And then before that, it was kind of all over the place. And there was hundreds of search engines. There still are hundreds of search engines, but Google owns 93% of the market. So that's the first game changer. The second one is social media. And especially during COVID. And in fact, I was reading a report the other day that that Facebook last year, from June to September, they compared it to 2019, June to September, they had 4 times as much screen time on them as they did the year before. So that's incredible. And I know all of the others, Facebook did really well, but so did Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter and LinkedIn even. And so there was a lot of them that have done well. So just understand, social media has really become a big thing. And it's that people just aren't on it. They are glued to it all the time. Even though a lot of people are back to work, they are still spending a lot of time online. The third thing is, of course, the mobile technology. Last year, it was 77% of all people that were looking for anything, whether it be on Google, they were on social media, they were on mobile. And that still means that there's 23% that are on computer. They're expecting that it'll be in the 81 to 83 area this year. And the information on that will be coming out here shortly. And it's information that comes up to June of this year. So we'll see how that goes. But that is a game changer, all of those 3. And so the big question is, do you have a game plan of how to leverage all of these game changers for you? Now, we've talked about sales funnels in the past. Everybody's heard of a sales funnel. Well, when I was first working with a sales funnel, I had a guy who was saying, well, you do 100 phone calls, you're going to get to about 20 people who are going to listen to you for a few minutes. You'll make 5 appointments from those, and 1 person will actually buy. And so he kept saying, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. No, it's not. A sales funnel is you get people in that are interested in what you're doing. When I worked in the newspaper industry, we talked about getting people that were mildly interested, not just ready to buy now, but mildly interested. And then all the way down, you would work them until they were really interested. And of course, you became the person that they wanted to do business with. That's what we've done with newspapers. And it's done some good things with email marketing. But we're going to talk about the new digital funnel today. And you'll see what we mean when we get going along. Now, first off, I'm going to talk about filling that funnel, and then we're going to move into how that funnel will work. So, of course, the big 8 players for social media is Facebook and YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google My Business. Yes, that's different than just Google, Pinterest, Instagram, and Tumblr. So those are the top 8. Now there are some that people say, oh boy, you forgot. Well, you know what, like TikTok, they have lots of people. In fact, they're, for how many people they have on it, they're actually number 4. But for business, they're number 12. So understand that. So if you have a certain type of business, they work really well. Clothing, selling clothing. I have a t-shirt shop that does really well. I have one person who does some makeup type stuff. They're doing okay. But I have others that I've talked to that are on there. Like I have some chiropractors, some dentists, and people. They have a lot of followers, but they have not ever gotten a single person to come into their office from that. So I don't classify it as one of the top big 8. The big 8 are the ones that are getting business for business. And that's what I'm looking at. Okay, now what is the purpose of social media? This is very important to do. Now, there are some times when you want to do it one way, but this is the one that 80% of people use. It's all about attracting people into the website and getting them to come there, and whether it be to follow a story, and we'll be talking about the website in a few minutes. Jim will be doing that more than anyone. But you need to be driving your traffic to one place. Now, there is a couple things to be to understand. If somebody is ready to buy now, then they should be presented with a phone number. But if they're not quite ready to buy, get them so that they're going to the website. And the website is where you start that funnel, getting them in, and then you're going to be working them until they are ready to buy. So that's what this is. So those that are ready to buy, circumvent the sales funnel, go right to the bottom, get them buying. But all the rest, you want to get them to your website so that you can work with them. So if they're looking to buy a house, but they're looking at about a year away, great. They've got the idea in their mind. You attract them to your website, and then you train them, you educate them, you give them tips and tricks until they are ready to buy. And what are they going to do? They're going to trust you because you've given them the information. So that's what doing the website stuff does very well. Now, there are 3 main reasons to use social media for prospecting. And first one is it retains customers that you already have. And if you have additional products, it's how to get them to buy more from you. And I did a whole training on this this last week that was part of the Master Your Social Media. And it's how to get more people to recognize what you're doing and all the different things that you're doing. Okay, so that's one of the things. The second one is it brings back past customers, and there's ways of doing that. And again, if it's something that I taught last week in that class, but if you need more, but these are the 3 main reasons why you prospect. And then the last one is to find new prospects to be your customers. And now these sometimes take the longest to get action from, but once you get the action coming, then they will, if you get them into the funnel, they're going to work their way through the funnel, through the education, through all the steps that you're going to put together for your business so that they can actually get to be a customer. Okay. Now, a few things I'm going to tell you about. One is my recipe for social media success. This is one of the programs that I have. Now, this is the older version of it. There's one that has more things on it. So this one has like 24 things on it. I have one that has 35 or 36 things on it now of new things you can use. And so if you want one of these at the end of this, I'll give you an email address that you can get that social media, a recipe for social media content. But one of the things that I want to tell you is you can't be always on your social media just educating. Now, this is one of the biggest problems that I see with people. They say social media doesn't work. And when I look at it, they're doing one of 3 things. They're either doing only education, They're never asking for a sale. So they're not doing the promotional in this case. They're not asking for the sale. They're not letting them know that they actually do the work. It's just education. The second one is they're selling to them all the time. Nobody likes to be sold all the time. And then the third one is they just use funny things, or quotes of the day, things along that line. It's what I call social media fluff. Great to break up things. And between the three of them, they work together, but you got to do more than just any one of them. You've got to do multiple things. And here are 6 different categories to work from, and that's important. By the way, if you have any questions, you can put the questions in the chat, and I'll be glad to answer them as we're changing from me to Jim. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you about is the 6 most important social media steps there are. These are necessary. Okay, so the first one is know who your prospects are and where to find them on your social media. If you don't know who they are, or you don't have any customers right now, one of the best things you can do is, if you have customers, go talk to them, because they will tell you more about you than you even know. And the key is, whatever attracted them to you, you want to know so that you can attract prospects to you. And that's important. The next thing you need to do is invite them to your social media sites. Now, you can do that in several different ways, but that's one of the things you need to do. And there's ways of doing that. You can on Instagram, you can use Reels. You can do it through an email campaign. You can, I would have one customer of mine who uses different social programs and networking meetings that they get, where people can go to their social media sites. And so it's about inviting them there. And then when you do that, you also want to make sure that you have the links for your social media sites on your website. This is important, that your website push people to your social media, because on your social media, you're going to be posting once a day, generally. And that keeps you in front of them. Top of mind awareness is what that's called. By doing that, it also keeps them engaged with you. And then, of course, you've got to make sure you're posting engaging content. Now, this can be all kinds of different things. I'm going to cover some of those in a moment on the next slide. So let's get to that when I get to it. Then you need a call to action, but not every time. Now, I have some people who they use soft sell call to actions, and that works really well. And they put it in on every single thing. But they do one where it's a definite call to action: do business with me. Sometimes what they're putting on there is a call to action to say, tell me what you think about this. That's a call to action, because now you're inviting them to make a comment, to tell you about something. Then you want to know what you want to do with that, and make it so it works for you. The last one of this is you need to link to your website from your social media. This is where you drive traffic to your social media. And there's lots of ways of doing that. And so one of them is, if you have a blog that you're putting up on your website all the time, then you should be posting things on it to push people to that website. You want to use the website and the social media as an interlocking thing. You want to make it so that it works the best when you do both, and you get people seeing you on social media and going to your website. Now, as I mentioned before, there are there's steps you can take to creating engaging posts. And what makes them engaging? Then we'll talk about that. Education is one that a lot of people love. They do love to be educated, so that when they're looking for something, they can actually know that how to respond. They get the education they want, so that they can make an informed choice. That's a really good one to get engagement. You can also put inspirational, motivational type programs up there, posts up there. These might come as quotes of the day, but it might also be something motivating them to say, hey, have you, Monday, it's now Monday. What goals do you have for this week? So it's asking them to be motivated. Sometimes it's inspirational. Inspirational is more of those quotes. Uh, Informational. Now, informational and educational are very similar, but informational is you're giving them how it's going to benefit them and reminding them about education they should have learned already. So informational is giving them this, what's in it for them, important thing to do. Another one is ask questions, do surveys. We have customers who do that all the time. I do that with my books for the book covers. I ask them to give me a this or that so it's a survey, and it works out really well. Running contests and giveaways is also very engaging. You'll get people to do things. Now, contests and giveaways are different. People say, oh, they're the same thing. Giveaways, everyone can get a prize if they do whatever you ask them to do. Contests, there is a winner or several winners, and you can set that up, how that is given away. So that's the difference, is giveaways versus contests, but both of them are very engaging. Now, testimonials and internet reviews, they're extremely important as well. And we'll talk about them in a few minutes because they are one of the best things to use to promote your social media and your website to new customers. And then you need to also tell about you. Yeah, I mean, they don't need to know what you ate for breakfast. They don't need to know what, kind of things you like to drive, but they do like to hear about hobbies. They do like to hear what is going on in your life, but not to the minute detail. They want to know more about you. How do like we've done a video of a guy, here's how I start my day. And so it's from him getting out of his car at his office and how he works his way through his manufacturing facility until he finally makes it to his desk. That got hundreds of, in fact, it was over 10,000 views of that one. Just people loved it. Part of that is a lot of his staff said, hey, I was in this video, and it engaged other people to come and watch the video. And it turned out that he ended up with a lot more followers because of that. Now let's talk about reputation. This is part of social media. It is part of drawing people into your sales funnel, and we'll explain why. Now, firstly, when most people think of reputation, they think of online reviews. These are very important. In fact, here I have 2 reviews that people have given me, and they are important, and they should be on. There's 2 platforms that people you should have them post to. That should be Google My Business and Facebook reviews. Okay, those 2 are the most important for getting more people in. Now, if you're in an industry where there are other places that you should be paying attention to, like you're in the construction industry, maybe you need to be on Thumbtack and Angie's List and several of those. So be sure to get those on there. But that's only a part of the things you need to pay attention on your social media. What if somebody says, I am in search of somebody. I need, in this case, these are where people gave me references. They said, this person was saying, I need somebody who can help me do social media more efficiently. And these are the people who gave me this. And they said, hey, Boyd Peterson is your guy. Boyd Peterson, I'd add on to the Boyd Peterson vote. And so it goes on and on. But this is a really good thing to know, that you're being told to be, that your name is being had for good, basically. And this is part of your reputation. The third one is when somebody is saying something about you, and then you get all of the things that go along with that. So for example, in this case, somebody said, hey, Boyd's going to be presenting at this networking meeting tomorrow. And so these are the responses that I got. Now, if somebody is saying something negative about you, you want to know that too. And it can be anywhere. And there are programs that will allow you to go and find out what people are saying about you, whether it's good or bad. All of these last two came from that program that I used. It says, hey, there's these people have mentioned your name and or your company, and you can set it up for either one of them. So that's something to be looking at. Now, let me tell you, a lot of people have always told me word of mouth marketing is absolutely the best type of promotion for your company. And that is true. However, if you market those testimonials and reviews, then word of mouth marketing is on steroids. So it's not just them telling about you, it's you promoting what they say about you. And this is extremely important. In fact, this particular quote that I have made has been used by people on stage, like Brian Tracy used it a few weeks ago and said, Boyd Peterson, who is an internet marketer, said this, and he used this. This is one of the things that really helps you get to know or get your message out there. It's other people promoting you, and it's about knowing your customers and having them giving you those kind of reviews that you need to do that. And here's one of the big reasons why. Did you know that 88% of the consumers trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation? So if you're standing there talking to a neighbor and he said, and you say, oh, you need to go talk to so-and-so, he's probably going to go or she is going to go and look up reviews on that person as well. And they 88% trust them as much as what they would trust my personal recommendation. This is important to know. So you want to have your reviews on there, and the reviews are part of the social media profile because you get to respond to those reviews, and it's important for you to respond to those reviews. Now, let me give you some information about this. When when most people get word of mouth, kudos, I guess you'd call it. Here's one of the things we find. If it's referrals, then it's a private thing. It's one-time event. It's given to one person, and they average twice a year when they're giving a word of mouth referral. But if you take that and they put it as a review, it's now public, so they can look at it on Google My Business or on Facebook or wherever it might be, and it has an ongoing impact. And if you start promoting it, it can have an unlimited reach for you. This is important. So now that's what I have for today. I'm going to turn the time over to Jim, who's going to be taking it from here. So once you get them into the funnel, Jim, what do you do with them?
We absolutely close the deal.
There we go. We like that.
So I'm going to, as part of that funnel, I'm going to jump right into my presentation. But remember, we're taking the funnel, we've got them in the funnel, and we're driving them to a point of conversion. That's the absolute, goal in mind that we have here. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to jump through my presentation, or my part of this presentation, pretty quickly. There you go. You guys all know who I am, so I'll just skip over that. Okay, so what we're talking about today is digital marketing, and digital marketing holistically is everything from banner ads and content marketing, email marketing, social media marketing, all the way down to the website. We're trying to drive them to that website. That's where the conversions get made. So I'm not going to belabor the point too much, but online marketing, the whole point here is to actually produce sales and then make money. That's the point. It's kind of self-serving, I guess, for every business, but in fact, that's what we all want to do. So Boyd spent a pretty fair amount of time talking about reviews. And I don't know if my numbers are exactly the same as his, but they're all really close. 68% of customers trust reviews. that are posted online, and that's posted online. They trust it more than their friend telling them to go use that business or whatever. And that number to me is absolutely mind-numbing, that they would trust an online review over their best friend saying, hey, I use this guy, or go use this guy. So it's absolutely kind of a crazy idea, but it's the reality of it. So if you consider all the places that we go online and we shop online and we're swayed online, these are all, images of a great understanding of how we do what we do online, or why we buy online. There's convenience factors. That do they offer, free return shipping, or all of those things play into the game. So, consider these activities. I'm building a website for a gal right now, and we're going to use both credit card processing and PayPal. The point is that we're trying to create as many opportunities for a sale as we possibly can. There'll be an active social media campaign. There's reviews that are already being left online. So it's all of these things working together that actually drive them from that awareness down into an interest, into a decision-making process, and then to take that final action, which is to purchase or have the sell happen. And we're going to talk in just a minute about taking people from the bottom of that sales funnel back to the top of that sales funnel, and recycling your clients. You don't want, it's many times cheaper to actually recycle your clients or get them to buy from you again and again than it is to actually go out looking for new clients all of the time. So the idea is we want to take them from the I want to know moment all the way to the I want to buy moment. You can see there's wanting to go and wanting to do moments in between there, but that's the sales funnel. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Boyd mentioned this, but I can't help but restate it. And we're going to talk for 2 seconds about Google. Google controls 93% of the market. That's all of their competition, the AOLs, the Bings, the Bandus, the everybody else fight for about 8% of the market, 7 or 8% of the market. Google controls everything else. And there's certainly all kinds of searches on Google. There's Google Images, there's YouTube searches. All of those are owned, obviously, by Google. So that's really where you need to be. As an optimization guy, all we do is focus on what Google thinks, and everybody else falls in line. So if you have a client that says, oh, I need to rank on Yahoo, I can get them to rank on Yahoo easier by satisfying Google's needs and by satisfying the Yahoo needs. So Google and Facebook are the only real two players. Facebook is the flip side of Google. They dominate the market. They control the market. Boyd was quoting some numbers, and certainly they're impressive with the amount of reach and the amount of time spent on screen is really phenomenal. And so you can't ignore them. Google, I'm going to say, does about 5 billion searches a day. So that's significant. And then this is a slide deck there I grabbed from one of my old decks that is about Facebook business. And you can see literally how Facebook dominates all of the other competitors. This, I think I would suspect that TikTok has moved up a little bit since then, but certainly Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, and Tumblr, and you can see where they all fall. But in fact, I definitely should update that a little bit, but you can see where they all are falling. And social media is impressive. Again, we're going to take them from the awareness moment down towards the conversion. And there's all of those steps in between. But the easiest way, the most cost-effective way for all of your clients or all of your prospective clients to find you is on social media. And then they get to know you, like you, love you, and then ultimately buy from you. Don't misunderstand me. I left this slide in in the presentation because both Google and Facebook, all social media really, to some degree, is a machine. They're run by algorithms. They're, I've got somebody that, thinks that somebody sits there and reads all of the posts, that Twitter deletes, or that, gets kicked out, and it's an algorithm. If you say the right words in the wrong way, it's going to trigger an algorithm, and then they're going to make a decision to close your account or shut you down for a period of time. So just be aware that it's a machine. It's not really somebody sitting there until it pops up in their algorithm. This is another slide talking about the importance of Google and Facebook. More on Google and Facebook. And then we're going to talk in just a second about how we search them. I want to get to the meat of the presentation a little tiny bit. This is a slide that if you've ever heard me speak, you may have actually seen this. And it talks about kind of the three parts of my search engine optimization pie. And there's one part of optimization that is very content, very website driven. And that is, what do you say online? What do you blog about? What does your site say? What are the keywords associated with your site? How is the meta code architecture structured? Is it in an organized, structured fashion, or is it hodgepodgey? I mean, you can still make a site render if it's hodgepodgey, but Google doesn't like to see it. Google needs to read the code and understand what you're saying, what the point of it is, how the database is structured. All of those are things that Google looks at that very few people consider. How is your database associated with that site organized? How many times does that come up in a conversation? Almost never. But that's something that Google cares about. So if Google cares about it, as an SEO professional, I have to care about it. So think about that for a second while I move on to the next thing. Reviews in social media. Boyd's covered it really well, but reviews are important and social media is important. I think of it a little tiny bit different than Boyd. I think about it in the sense of the demographics. Boyd likes to push out and say a lot of things and get the exposure. That's absolutely the appropriate thing to do. I care a little tiny bit more about the demographic in the sense that, if it's a 12 to 18-year-old demographic, you might want to be on YouTube. If it's a 55, 60-year-old plus, you might want to be on Pinterest. And then each of those demographics certainly are a target for an individual company. So think about the demographics. The reviews are important. All social media is important. That's, again, where you expose yourself to the largest number of people in the most cost-effective fashion. But then start to think about what you're saying online and to which demographic you want to say it to, which part of your value proposition are you presenting inside of those demographics to each of those platforms. And then, of course, there's link building. I could talk for hours on link building. All I really want to say at this moment is that it's important. So be aware of your site, who you're giving away links to, and who's linking to you. If you need to know more about that, we're going to have to just have another conversation. I need to keep moving. So again, these are all of the things that I worry about from an SEO perspective. Keywords certainly being one of the most important. How do you tell Google what your keywords are? How often do your keywords come up? Are they in your N1 tags or your H1 tags? Be aware that there's all kinds of things going on in the background behind you. I want to mention, and I need to stay on task here, that there's a difference between a website and a landing page. And generally speaking, this would be considered a website. You see all kinds of navigation. This would be a home, about us, a contact us, all of the different pages that you can click to or link to and go to on that site. If you look at a landing page, there's really only one option that happens with a landing page. You can submit your name and information and then click here, which will submit that. That's going to send that directly into a database so that client can market to you in the future. If you're selling, whatever auto parts, this could be the full auto parts website, but this might be just tires. And so, hey, if you want more information about tires, you can get a free ebook by clicking on this one button, and that'll send you the information on tires. But be aware, you've dropped yourself into a database that they're going to start to market to for auto parts across the board. They may segment it into just people that clicked on the tire button, but in all likelihood, you're going to get more communications from them on other things or other things related to the automotive industry. So a competitive company in some cases has as many as 30 landing pages. The website sits here at the core, just like social media, driving people to the landing or the homepage. You've got all these landing pages that sit out there in the world, driving people to that website. The website, again, is the point of conversion, the best point of conversion. So make sure that you have, some landing pages. Make sure that you are using those effectively with effective keywords to have them or help them rank. It's actually easier to rank a landing page than it is a website. With website, you have the little baggage of all these other areas and things you want to talk about. But a single page website is much easier to rank because it has one focused area that you want to discuss. This is just a relevant picture on how search engine result pages rank. And you can see that the top 3 are generally considered ads. There's a map section. It's item number 4 till you really get to the first organic position. So the first organic position, although it's about halfway down this page, is the premium spot on that entire page. That will get somewhere between 50 and 70% of the clicks will happen on that number 4 position, or that first number 4 position. And then it goes down from there. By the time you get to the bottom of the search engine results page, very few clicks. We're talking, 2-3%. By the time you get to the top of the next page, it falls off significantly. We're talking about 0.1% on the page 2. So be aware of how you rank and where you rank and why you rank. This was something that I was excited to get to, and Boyd mentioned it briefly, but this is a good example of automation. And the automation that we use on the web level, you guys are interested in somebody, you're interested in something, you come to a website or you find that website. You can even be driven to a landing page through social media. And then on the landing page, if I stick with my auto parts scenario, you might be interested because there's somebody that talks about tires. And then that drives you via a link to a landing page. And that landing page gives you a free ebook, if you will, on tires. But when you filled out that information to get the free ebook on tires, you dropped yourself into this communication channel, and it starts to communicate to you. This is a very automated activity. We will, start to go down this until there's a point of conversion. Sometimes they actually, I need to move my picture here. You can see that some people started down that communication channel, and this continued the communication channel. But at this point, somebody opted out. And when I say opted out, what they did is they changed channels that they wanted to communicate through. So what happens is they maybe made a purchase. So think about what you're saying to your client. If they get 3 or 4 communications in to this click funnel, then what happens when they make a purchase? Would you want to continue to talk to them the same way? That would be offensive. And people are I want to say soft-hearted these days. They get offended. They get offended online pretty easily. So if you continue to talk to them the same way you were trying to sell them before, that's offensive, and they will quit following you. So if you start the new communication channel and says, thank you so much for your purchase, we appreciate your purchase, come back and see us for more. That communication channel is completely different than buy from us, buy from us, buy from us. And Boyd, warned you not to do that to sell them every time. But an email communication would be a little tiny bit different than a social media, where they have the option to come see you. You're now going to, once they've given you that email address, you can determine the frequency that you communicate. And if you only communicate maybe every 10 days, that's maybe not as offensive as saying every day online, buy tires, buy tires, buy tires. So it becomes complex, and it's not convoluted. It is very complex, and you need to consider how you're doing it. Keywords, I probably shouldn't have left this in here. It's too long of a conversation, but keywords are important. And if you search for Mustang, you get 9 million searches. If you're searching for a 1968 red Ford convertible Mustang, you only get 600 searches. But I guarantee you, if you've got a 1968 Ford convertible Mustang, you can sell it, even though there's a fewer number of people that will actually find that page. This is where I wanted to get to, and it talks about running people down through that funnel. You have the exposure that you do on social media, and you drive them down to that point of conversion. Well, once they process through that point of conversion, you want to get them to come back up here to the top of the funnel again. So continue that conversation, regardless of which form of digital marketing you use. If you want to use social media, I strongly recommend that. That's, most of my clients today, we begin with that conversation of how are you going to attract new clients? How are you going to attract more clients? And that's social media. Once you've kind of got them into that funnel, into the engagement process where they've ordered that free ebook on tires, they're now engaged with you. So you've gone from exposure, you've influenced them, they're now engaged with you. You're going to convert them. So at the conversion level, now send them a new email that says, hey, we've got rims, we've got lug nuts, we've got all kinds of stuff that go along with that tire. Make the communication intelligent, make it continual, so that you bring those clients back into your stores. Here's the next couple slides are a couple of things about how Google sees the world. And I mentioned that before, but there's a couple of things that you kind of have to do. And we're pressed for time, so I'll just read the top couple of things off pretty quickly. But having a secure site or an HTTPS is one of the most important things you can possibly do. Making your website mobile friendly. More and more people are searching on their phones today. And if your site is not mobile friendly, and that means, I want to, people question me this sometimes on that, but what that means is it's how quickly your site adapts to the new screen size or the screen shape, and even amongst the phones and the carriers, we all have different sizes and shapes, but it needs to be secure. It needs to be mobile friendly, meaning that it adapts to that. The next most important is probably page speed. The page speed is critical. You won't, I scan sites sometimes for clients, new clients, and it takes them 20 seconds to load or 30 seconds to load a page on a phone. And when was the last time you waited 20 seconds for a page to load on their phone? I'm going to tell you, never. You moved on to the next most likely option. So if it doesn't, and of the first 10 items on a Google search or on a phone, most of them load in under a second. So if you're not loading in under a second or second and a half, you're probably not going to really do well on your cell phones. But the rest of them, you guys have all seen them. We can talk about them in another time. But these are all, I could talk about all of them really at length, but we need to move. So the next thing was, here's 10 tips that are positive, 10 tips that are negative. I'm going to talk about the negative ones real quickly. Don't have grammar errors, don't have spelling mistakes, don't have broken links. Those are all things that Google looks at. Duplicate content on your site or on another site is a very, very negative thing. Never cut and paste. I'm just going to say that point blank. Do not cut and paste ever from anybody else's website, right? Genuine content. You guys can do a screen grab of this if you want, but those are all really good things to follow. I mentioned this before, but we didn't get into it too far. How does Google see things is something that keeps me awake at night. And speed or velocity is a good way to think of that. And it doesn't matter whether it's your social, your SEO, your sales. Google sees acceleration or velocity. And so we want websites to be fast. We want increased number of visitors. We want an increased number of sales, and Google sees when somebody goes into your shopping cart and creates a purchase. If you have a increased number, then you become more and more important in Google's eyes. As soon as your sales drop, or your social media visits drop, or your site visits drop, then you become less and less important to Google. That's a scary thing to think about, that they're watching all that, but in fact they are. Inside of the sales or the tool Google Analytics, you can set up each of your items and measure sales as a measurement tool inside of Google Analytics. You can have special programs that run, and Google measures that. Google also measures time on site, number of visitors to site. If those things aren't increasing, even at a gradual pace, but certainly increasing, then you're not as important to Google, and they won't rank you as highly, which kind of is self-serving. It feeds the monster, if you will, if you're not increasing your sales. So be aware of that. They're measuring velocity across multiple platforms, multiple things. So we want to make your site accelerate into the next millennium. One of the things I like to mention is, and Boyd touched on it as part of reviews, is sites that you need to be listed on. And obviously Facebook and Google My Business are without a doubt the two most important. The reason for that is because you have to register. When you log in on Facebook, or you log in to leave a review on Google My Business, you register. All of the other ones that he mentioned, Thumbtack and Alexa and some of these other ones, you don't really have to mention who you are. I love to use the scenario of Car Talk. I have a couple of auto mechanics that are clients, and they love Car Talk. And Car Talk's kind of cool. I listen to it, from time to time, and it's fun. It's cool. The guys are funny. But leaving a review on Car Talk does absolutely nothing for Google. Google does check these 70 sites, and we just increased our offering from 70 sites to about 200 sites. But we do want to have them a listing there so that Google can see, they check all of these sites. And, if you're on one of these sites, there's a banking site here somewhere, the Chamber of Commerce site, let's say, are you listed on there, and how often do you frequent it? How often do you frequent your listing? That's important. If you ping that listing once a month, that tells Google that you're active on it. So you should have these 70 sites or 200 sites that we're now capable of doing, and then ping it accordingly. There also has to be continuity across the board. All of the information, the hours of business, the business address, what kind of credit cards you take, all of that information needs to be consistent across all of these sites. So if you need us to do that for you, we're glad to help. We've got a tool that automates that and makes all of our lives a little bit easier. We like automation. These are a couple of reasons why we buy. Low prices, shopping, easy to compare, range of products. Those all play into it. One thing, we kind of started with reviews, and we might kind of end there as we're wrapping things up. But 35% of customers say that one negative review can change the buying decision. Boyd, when I finish my slide, I'm going to ask Boyd to talk about it for 2 seconds, but he can tell you exactly how many stars it takes for somebody to want to purchase from you or not purchase from you. But give me 2 seconds, Boyd. I'm just going to wrap up.
Go ahead.
Then we'll talk into that. So you need to consider times of day that they buy. It's, not only that they're buying, but when's the peak time? If the peak time is at noon on Friday and you're selling concert tickets, that means that they're not going to lunch. They're on their computer buying concert tickets. So times of day, times of the week, all of those things are really important as you jump into considering your buying decisions. You need to know your audience, and you need to be building lists. If you're not building lists, you're throwing money away. I chastise my clients all the time saying, how many email addresses do you have? How many followers do you have? All of those things, we should have a positive velocity. This is another great page if you want to just take a screen grab of it real quick. It talks about different sales funnels that we use. Active Campaign is one that I'm using. Campaigner is one that I'm using right now. I've got a client that's in love with that. But there's different types of hooks and funnels. And then email, suppliers, MailChimp, Mailgun. Boyd has a preference on those. He just recently changed his mind that all of this is just a page to let you know there's a lot of options out there, and there's no any one right answer. It's you need to be doing it all. You need to be building your list. You need to be using a click funnel. You need to have a campaigner that's working for you. This is a site that I want to send you to. It's called SEOin360.com. And there's a lot of great information there. There's information about social media. There's information about link building, all kinds of things that you can get there. And all of them are really affordable. $8, $10, $12 in most cases. But you can go there and do a lot of this stuff yourself. The next thing, social media posting. Of course, you guys know that I'm a huge fan of that. And if you go to entrepreneur-factory.com/social posting, you can see that we've got a deal there for just $49 a month. And you can get automated weekly tweets, I want to say, that happen on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can see that they're motivational Mondays, quote of the day, and then engaging days. This is actually a copy of my personal. So you can see that I also post on like Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays. I post sometimes about SEO. I sometimes post about web design. There's custom content that I loaded on this particular page. And that's Boyd speaking when he was speaking about mixing things up. I don't just say buy SEO, buy SEO, buy SEO. I say, here's something that kind of cool that, happened on Monday. Here's a fascinating quote. So I'm mixing it up. They're getting to know me. They're getting to know how I think. They're getting to know my company and myself. And then when I get into the custom quotes, usually I have a real opinion about something, and I sometimes speak my mind. But that's really how they get to know me and get to see if they fall on the same side of the fence as me or want to do business with me because I think that way. So this is a great page. Go to entrepreneur-factory and check that out. It's under social posting. And it's not any one of these. That's a weird slide. There we go. It's not any one of these things. It's all of these things working together. There we go. I'll finally show that. But it's proper social media. It's web design. It's SEO bundled with the sales process and training that are driving people from that want to know kind of strategy down to the conversion strategy. So that is all that I have. Leave me a review at Facebook or E2 Total Solutions, or you can always go to my Google My Business page. But thank you so much for sharing part of your afternoon with us. I'm going to stop the share and let Boyd tell us about
Stars.
I knew it was right there.
I knew that it was right there on the tip of your tongue. Yeah, it was actually on your nose.
Yeah. Ooh.
So one of the things that we discovered a while ago is it's interesting. If you have all 5-star reviews, so 100% 5-star reviews, there's 17% of the people who believe nobody's perfect. And so if you have all 5-star reviews, you must have purchased them, or you're only having friends do it, or you've somehow controlled it. And so they will not use you. 17% will not use you. The perfect star review is between 4.2 and 4.8. When you get between there, then people trust all that's going on. And so that doesn't mean you have to have all 5 and 4 stars. Even if you get a 1-star or 2-star, if you do it right, you can actually turn them into lead magnets for you as well. And so that's always a fun thing to do when we get to have that opportunity to do it. So
it's interesting, Boyd, because I'm one of those people. It would have to be something highly unusual for me to give a 5-star review. Mm-hmm. I just don't do it. But I've had customers that come in with a 5-star review, and I said, I'm going to give you a 1-star review. And they're going, what? Why would you give us a 1-star review? And I said, because I want to bring your average down to 4.7. So I've actually threatened clients to do that. I don't really do it, but it makes them think.
But just having a couple of 4-star reviews or such, the 4-star reviews by those people, that 17%, they appreciate the 4-star reviews more than they do the 5. And so they'll go through and read them. Now they'll also read the 1 stars and the 2 stars and the 3, and some of the longer 5 stars, but they do pay more attention to the 4-star reviews.
Absolutely. Well, it's been exciting, Boyd, and I love it when we present together.
It's fun.
I had to trim down my number of slides in that deck by 50%, and I still had to hurry to get through it. But thank you, everyone, for spending some time with us today.
Yep, thank you. And check back with our bpmedia.com/seminars. You'll see what seminars are coming up in the next few weeks. We try to keep at least 1 week out, and sometimes it's 2 and 3. And it also has conferences, workshops, and master classes that we teach. And some of those have costs to it, like the workshops are 1-day intensive or 2-day intensive workshops. And so we want to invite you to those. If you need to get going fast, that's what this is for. The 1-day or 2-day workshops. And then master classes are, giving more in-depth information. And then, of course, courses are in there, and then conferences that we do. So thank you for being with us. And we hope that
Boyd, don't forget to send them to our podcast.
Oh, that's right. We do a podcast every week. We do 3 of them every week. We have Monday, and it's called Entrepreneur Factory. You saw that with Jim's slides. Entrepreneur Factory podcast. On Mondays, it's all about sales and marketing. On Wednesdays, it's all about taking your business to the next level. And on Fridays, it's all about entrepreneurship. So whether you're about to start a business or you've just started a business, it's great information for that Friday person. So we'd love to have you go there. And then, of course, if you're on YouTube watching this, please give us a like and a share, and share it with somebody else who would like this as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.